Alright, I ain't here to talk about Manuel, but to talk about something I'm more passionate about, which is music. And I want to ask the question, what makes a great music album? Is it amazing groundwork? Its willingness to surprise everyone? A surprising storytelling concept? Or maybe it's influence? There's a lot of aspects that go into music that makes them compelling for many, but I would love to talk about a certain concept of music, the concept of minimalism. Well, it sounds weird at first. As I get more into it, I hope you can see where I'm coming from here. So let me ask you something. When you think of a song, what kind of things are added? Maybe some percussion, a guitar, maybe some bass or a piano, some vocals, or maybe like a beat if you're more into like hip hop and stuff. Now have that song stripped out to its bare minimum. You might omit stuff from it, or you might make that instrument or sound perform less energetically or dynamically. This is what I would consider in making a song sound minimal. It makes you feel like it lacks something that would make the song more potent. Well, sometimes there will be a case where less is more. One of the genres that makes me think of this would be folk music. While not entirely a genre surrounded by minimalist instrumentation, some music where that's the case seems to stand out to me more. These artists tend to tell a story or express their feelings throughout these minimal arrangements. One of the first artists that comes to mind to me is like one of my favorite artists and songwriters of all time, is Phil Elverum on his band The Microphones to then Mount Erie. His masterpiece, The Glow Part 2, tells a fantastic breakup story, and the sound here tends to get avant-garde with its sudden noise around the record. It's not entirely lacking any instruments, but when it does, it feels more personal and affecting. His song Headless Horseman is my favorite from all of this, with just his guitar, a foghorn in the background, and his soft vocals. His storytelling and emotions here hit harder as he sings about a bad breakup and its horrible effects, comparing it to his story of the Headless Horseman. What's more hard-hitting is his later album on Mount Erie, What's more hard-hitting is his later album on Mount Erie, A Crow Looked at Me. And this album is very heartbreaking to sit through, and I would not prefer to actually listen to it for yourself. But it's basically like a diary of Phil's as he grieves about his passing wife. And there's nothing really avant-garde about this, it's from his previous works on these albums. It's just him on his guitar, and it's such a depressing and disheartening listen to get through. And with this much little to offer, it brings so much emotional turmoil for whoever's listening to this. If it happened to me and my girl bestie, then it probably happened with the majority listening to this, okay? Anyways, another artist that I would like to mention here is Ichiko Alba with her album Zero. And this album is pure magic to me. With her angelic voice and her elegant acoustic guitar playing, and some field recordings here and there, this album is so calming and soothing. The amount of emotion being poured out here is so enchanting to me. I was listening to this album during cloudy and rainy days, and each second of it was just pure bliss for me, and it's an album that I would unexpectedly give 100 to. One last folk artist I have to go over is Nick Drake with Pink Moon. Initially a commercial failure and only received recognition after his unfortunate passing, this album is very influential for many. And in this album, he only has a piano playing on the title track. And in this album, he only has a piano played on the title track. The rest is just his neat guitar playing and vocals with his poetic lyrics. And it makes you feel at peace and maybe even nostalgic in some degree. And I'll let my review speak for itself, as I just couldn't have said it better. It's as if you were camping out of nowhere and a random stranger came out of nowhere and sat with you around a campfire, and you just sat there as you watched the stranger play his songs. With folk music out of the way, I would now go over a genre with its bare minimum, being ambient music. This tends to be more on the atmospheric side, with it focusing more on texture, vibe, and overall mood for those listening. An overall artist would be the only Aphex Twin with his album Ambient Works Volume 2. Unlike his debut with sounds of ambient techno, he goes full on ambient with these songs. These songs give off a sense of tranquility, eeriness, and what the fuck am I listening to right now? The song could be dull, but for many, it's very well textured and makes me feel so many emotions. Alright, to the nerd over there, the Minecraft album. Yeah, I can't really mention the ambient stuff without mentioning this. Like, this sounds very simple and it shouldn't really fit with like a sandbox game at all, but it works so much and like it gives us so much nostalgia for our generation, while also like feeling at like world peace with this album. Another thing I really have to mention here is the 6.5 concept album, Everywhere at the End of Time from the Caretaker. Ever heard of this before? It's so good because it came from this album. While many regard this album as like a very important masterpiece, I see it as like a huge snooze fest to get through. Like, I love its concept and about like, dementia and everything, but like it heavily like relies on that concept, and it just feels like underwhelming to like sit through the entire thing. Oh hey, what's this? Okay, bro, shut your bitch ass up. Alright, here's a genre that's like one of my favorites, dream pop. Now, there's a side where it's like this lush, textured, and atmospheric tone with bands like Always, Cocteau Twins, and Beach House. And then there's a side where they take that texture and make it pure ambience. And I have to say, like, I hate it so much. Don't get mad at me here, but Cigarettes After Sex is just so stale to me. Like listening to this had me yawning so much, and it doesn't help that there are just so many better dream pop records to dive into. Like these ones right here. Look, I'm not one to force you not to listen to them. Like, if you like Cigarettes After Sex, like it's fine for me. It's just that it's not my thing at all. I can say the same for the XX2, where like it's just like a boring indie dream pop album from 2009. And it's all like romantic and stuff, like Cigarettes After Sex, but it just doesn't do anything for me at all. And like the funny thing though is that like their intro song of just an instrumental is like their most listened to song, which like confuses me so much. Well, if all that stale minimal side of dream pop, there's one thing that stands out to me, and it's Beach House's debut for me. While it wouldn't be as revolutionary as say like Depression Cherry or Teenage Dream. Teenage Dream or Teen Dream? Let's see. Teen Dream, right? Yeah, Teen Dream. Oops. LOL. Despite those two records like being like more refined for like dream pop, like I always see myself coming back to this record. Its bare bones and dull production gives off like an ethereal vibe that I wouldn't expect to see myself re-listening to. All these songs here gives me like a sense of like drowsiness and like hypnoticism in like a positive way. And for many, like, it's like a weak and uninteresting dream pop album, but for me, like, it has like a place in my heart. Okay, I don't have much time left, so I will cram in as much as I can here, starting with James Blake's Self-Titled. This is like one of like the most important albums that I like ever listened to. Like, it's like skeletal electronic and like R&B production with this like layered auto-tune vocals just hits like a certain type of way for me, and I couldn't have said it better than my review on it. The song, it keeps like a walking dud with a cycle of monotony. To me, this is a haunting, minimal piece of art. Alright, Frank Ocean's Blonde. Most of you probably know this album as one of the R&B albums and one of the albums of the 2010s. And this used to be like 100 for me, but like it like plummeted down to like a 70. And it still has moments though, even though like I now feel like conflicted about some of these songs. But Ivy would always be one of my favorites from the album, and it's such like a melancholic performance of like a failed relationship, and like it's just Frank Ocean's heavenly vocals and just his low hazy guitar, and like it works so well in that album. Rex Warner's Counties Because You Will Never Be Free is another personal favorite of mine. Being the first music artist I started to get into, his minimal effort on these songs has been my favorite from his discography. I will have to admit that it comes off as a collective of demos with a stripped back lo-fi production in it, and he would sound much better like on this opus right here, Apricot Princess. Alright. However, like the raw emotions like he gives in this record like connects to like more to me, and especially on like the song Japan, or just like a drum beat and like a piano and like a very short time length. Like he gives like a lot with his lyrics, which like I fully like connect with. Alright, lastly, Duster's Stratosphere. The lo-fi slowcore masterpiece does like so much for doing like the minimum. And like this thing is like all vibes here, being like a melodic walk to like misery. And like it's light and like hazy production with like a luster and soft vocals. Just gives this like spacey and like warm feeling that like, other bands cannot achieve. I'm looking at you, motherfuckers. So we made it to the end. The exploration of like minimalism in music offers a unique perspective on the emotional impact and depth that can be achieved with fewer musical elements. Music artists who take on like the less is more agenda can leave more like an impression to gain from and get more of an experience and feeling from it. From all the variety of music genres I've listed, all these examples highlight the power of simplicity and how less can indeed be more. If it happened to me and like my girl bestie, then it probably happened with like the